Hey guys, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com. I've got a fun card for you today. I literally just slid the wood grain underneath my mess and put the camera up above my mess. And now you get to join me live where I left off last night. We're gonna make this beautiful. Your friendship means the world to me. It's kind of a peekaboo inside out card. Thanks for being you. That's our project today. All right, so I've shown you the card. There's two of them finished now. And then let me show you what you need to make the card. So the card features the Abstract Impressions stamp set and the Springtime Impressions dies that I lost. It was supposed to be a summer coffee and a card, but what happened was I had found them and then it was 88 degrees on Wednesday. So that ended up being our card. It was a long time in coming. I used my stitched shapes. The second to smallest, there's 4 sizes. It's not the littlest, it's the next littlest oval. And then layering ovals, I used the coordinated scallop die. My greetings are from Free as a Bird. Let's see if I can get all that in there. I'm cranked down kind of low. And I also want to show you just a second here. All right, so the Springtime Impressions dies. Let's take a look at these really quick. I love this die set. It's a 3 die set. You get this gorgeous butterfly that we use today, this lacy trim, and a little open daisy die. All right, so that's the 3 dies. And then this one you can see, that's the cutout. But right here I wanted to show you this because this is so gorgeous and so amazing. So this die produces this beautiful lacy piece. And I cut one out. This is Grapefruit Grove cardstock and this is Petal Pink. Look at how beautiful that is. All right, so it's a gorgeous, gorgeous die set. I wanted to just take a minute and point out how beautiful it is. And these are 2 pieces that you can use again and again with everything. All right, so that's the dies. Besides, we've gone through stamps, dies. Let's take a look at some tools. You need your classic label punch, and then Stampin' pads for this project. Our pretty peacock. I'm gonna do them in pairs. Pool Party, Grapefruit Grove, and Petal Pink. And then we've got Granny Apple Green and Soft Seafoam. And I've got some Pearl Basic Gems and this gorgeous 3/16 inch braided linen trim. Love that stuff. My cards, or my cardstock and consumables for this project. All right, so I've got a card base here. It's 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored at 4 1/4, and then you're going to take a 1/2 inch off the front. Okay, so just take a strip off. See that? Now the reason for that is so that you can have perfect placement for your label punch. So what happens is with that 1/2 inch off, when you slide the label punch all the way till it stops, you get perfect placement for your butterfly. So you have to keep in mind that a little bit of the inside of your card is going to show on the outside. So see on this one we got a little bit of leaves, a little bit of flowers. It looks pretty. You can keep that in mind though when you're doing this particular design, is to get that butterfly centered in the card. You do need a little bit more access, and so I cut a 1/2 inch off of the front of the card. Okay. All right, so that's our card base. For the inside of the card, I've got Whisper White, and it's 4 by 5 1/4. This is that not smallest, but second smallest stitched oval from Stitch Shapes, and that one is cut from Whisper White. And then it's coordinating scallop oval from the layering ovals, and that one's cut from Crumb Cake. I already cut our butterfly. Now this is from Pretty Peacock. This set cuts like a dream. I'm not gonna show you this time. I had the kit already done, But I cut these dies, these really intricate ones in my Big Shot, and I find that if I just go back and forth, I get a clean cut every time, and they work wonderful. All right, designer series paper. Now, there's a method to my madness here too. So this is a 6x6, 2018, 2020 in colors. It's Grapefruit Grove. And what I did was I decided first that my measurement was going to be 3 inches. I knew I wanted a big panel for the front of the card, but I did not want just one card from a sheet of designer series paper. Does anybody else feel like that? Like that just getting one sheet or one card out of a sheet of designer series paper, even 6x6, is a ripoff? I don't know, if maybe I'm just weird. But so I decided that my measurement was going to be 3 inches, 4 3/4, and that ended up making an even border all the way around. 3 inches is what started it. Then the length was determined by having an even frame. Clear? Is that clear? Is that too much into my head? So let me just go ahead and we're going to adhere that to the card front right now. And we're going to center it right in the front panel. I love to get rid of the extra little pieces. Less pieces, less clutter. All right, so there's our front, our card front. The last thing I have here is just scraps that I'm going to use to stamp my flowers for this little bundle on the front. Okay, so speaking of, let's go ahead and get some stamping pads and do a little stamping. So I've got my card base here for the inside, or my liner, and I've got a kind of a larger scrap of Whisper White, and I'm going to ink up the full bloom of this flower from Abstract Impressions in Petal Pink, and I'm stamping it once to cut out and once for the inside corner of my card. Now I'm going to get the next most full layer for this flower, and I'm going to ink up in Grapefruit Grove and stamp off, and then do the same thing for the inside of my card. And I do not line this up in any particular way. Everybody says, how do I line this up? I don't line it up at all. I just kind of give it a rotation and stamp it down, and it looks great every time. It's really seriously nothing to overthink. All right, then I've got my most fine details here, and I'm going to ink that in Grapefruit Grove and stamp that one on full strength. See, such a pretty little bloom. And if you were to look at my cards, they're probably each one a little bit different, but I think it turns out pretty every time. All right, I'm going to stamp a couple of the blue flowers. Now I need 3 for the card front. I'm stamping them with the background, the most full layer, and Pool Party, 3 of them. And then I'm going to stamp a couple on the inside corner of my card too. And each of these insides is going to kind of take on its own life, and it's okay. I love it. Now I got 2 more layers to bring some life and texture and dimension to this blue flower. So we're going to ink up this kind of line detail with Pretty Peacock and stamp that full strength on our Pool Party flowers. That one slid just a little bit. Very inky stamp. And then the next little detail we're going to do Pretty Peacock also, but we're going to stamp it off. So Pretty Peacock, we're going to use this, like, it's almost like 2 little leaves. And we're just stamping it off and kind of roughly filling in the line detail. See, so it really brings a dimension to this. Can you see how that's... All right, and then this guy right here. All right, so we've got all that fixed. Uh-oh, I got a little smudge on my card there. That's okay. We can, opportunities to embellish, I guess, right? Let's get some leaves. We're gonna stamp some leaves to cut out for the front. So we got the leaf here that's kind of a, I don't know, it's a leaf shape. It's kind of a almond shape, And we're going to stamp a few of those for the inside of our card. Let's see, how do I want this? Each one is very unique. I'll show you as we get closer to the end of the video that each one of my insides is different from the other. It just kind of depends on how things laid out. And I'm really just very relaxed about it, actually. Usually I want to control everything, but not so much with this. I'm happy to just kind of let them turn out the way that they do. I'm stamping at the end of each leaf with a little detail, and it's in Granny Apple. So there's the inside, but we need some leaves for the outside of the card too. So I'm gonna do a few more. I got some green ink there. I'm gonna just go ahead and get it on my fingers now instead of get it on my project accidentally. I want 5 leaves for the outside of my card. So I'm gonna stamp 5 of them on the scrap. And I'm going to do the little detail on the 5 of them. Let's see here, yep. See? And that's it. Now I'm not gonna finish stamping those 5 because I've actually already stamped them all and cut them out. But, all right, let me clear away my ink pads here and I'm gonna show the project one more time and we'll get it put together. All right, so if you're joining us a little bit later, this is card, inside and outside. And then let me show you this one too, because you'll see that depending on how your little flower montage on the inside turned out, you might stamp your greeting a little bit higher or a little bit lower. Each one is kind of unique, and that's okay. It depends on how these flowers like come together and build. All right, so let's get these guys out of here for a minute. And let's get this guy back in here. This is the one we're working on. All right, so just that little liner that we just stamped, I put some adhesive around it and I'm gonna center it inside. But I'm not gonna stamp my greeting yet. I wanna position my butterfly in my window and then stamp the inside part of my greeting. So hold on to that for a minute. And let's get our classic label punch here now. What you wanna do is push this in all the way till it stops. We had talked about that earlier. And you're going to go with about a 1/2 inch of designer series paper showing. It's got about a 1/2 inch border, so about 1 inch down and all the way in until it stops. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. First, you're going to punch all the way, or put it in all the way till it stops so that your butterfly will be centered when you put it in. But also that gives you that like 90-degree plumb line so that you don't have any uphill, downhill. Your slot in the front of the card is going to be perfectly straight. So those are your 2 reasons for that. Very important step. Now we've got our butterfly here. I'm going to fold up the wings on either side of the body. So I like to put my thumbnail against the body and then just lift up and then switch hands. And we'll hold the wings, and it's got a little shelf there. Perfect for some multi-purpose liquid glue. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue, but we're really going to spread it around. We want to get a good strong adhesion here. All right. Now, I'm holding my card close tight, all the way flat, and I'm going to bring my butterfly in and I'm going to center inside this little open space. We're going equal right to left and equal top to bottom. And then we'll press down and burnish. And then next up, got my greeting. We'll give that a second to dry and let's stamp our outside greeting. This, your friendship means the world to me, comes from the Free as a Bird stamp set. I love the fonts in this set. They're just gorgeous. And we're gonna do that with Pretty Peacock. Of course, Pretty Peacock's at the bottom of the stack. All right, we're going to go a little bit, just a little bit left of center when we stamp our greeting, giving some room for that linen, braided linen trim bow that we're gonna add on. Don't you just love the font? And they stamp great. They're a thin line, but every time they stamp just perfect. You know how sometimes fine line greetings will be kind of fat or smushed out around the edges and too fine in the center? This one stamps perfect every time, and the font is beautiful. All right, now that we've got our greeting stamped, we can adhere to the scallop layer, and then we can adhere to the card front. And that will have given our butterfly plenty of time to dry, so we can move to our inside greeting now. Now the friendship greeting is going to go almost to the fold and just barely touching the label opening. And when we lift and open, now we can see pretty clearly where we stamp thanks for being you, where it'll look nice with the greeting or with the arrangement we have going on, and it'll also be hidden from this little window when we close the card. All right, took all these gorgeous little stamped images and I've cut them out. And I just fussy cut them. The dies for abstract impressions are not framelits dies. They don't cut out the stamped images. They complement. It's the butterfly and that gorgeous floral, but they don't cut out. And that's okay. I like that in dies sometimes. So we're gonna go ahead and add dimensional adhesive on our large flower and one of our little blue flowers. I'm gonna really quick embellish my butterfly. I've got the pearl basic gems here, and I'm gonna put 3 little pearls right in the center of my butterfly. I didn't have the pearls at first, but then my aunt and my mom came over and they said to me, Marissa, your butterfly needs something in the middle. It sounded pretty urgent, so we got some things out and tried the pearls and they looked good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place my little, I don't know, what is that? Probably a rose, right? Let me get one in here that's finished for, and I'm going to just let it touch the sentiment frame and make sure that it is not off of the edge of the card. I think I like that. Then with multi-purpose liquid glue, I'm going to add the rest of these little bits that we stamped and cut. I'm going to pop up little blue flower, and then the one that we have with dimensional adhesive that's stuck to my finger. We'll pop that one up. Now it's okay if the dimensional one or any of the other pieces overflow this edge. It'll still work in the envelope because this is cut off a little bit, and it'll add some, I think, pleasing dimension for the eye. I'm going to put a little leaf up here, just tuck it in and glue it on. And we need 2 leaves kind of off the bottom of this little rose flower. I'm going to tie one of those little linen, braided linen trim bows. All right. So there it is. This is a little peekaboo card. I don't even know what to call it. I first saw Sarah Douglas do it at one of the onstage presentations. I think it was my first onstage. I haven't been around Stampin' Up that long. I think it was my first onstage where she did it. I don't remember what she used, a butterfly or a heart, or she might have even used the dragonfly. I don't know. Does anybody else remember that presentation if you're a demonstrator? We get so much information or so much inspiration from Stampin' Up. They really are an excellent support. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now, add my little bow with a glue dot. Make sure it doesn't cover a greeting. There it is. Oh, various stages of doneness. I'll finish that one up after. All right. Your friendship means the world to me. See that fun little closure? You guys got any questions about how that works, about the project? Anything I can do for you? Thank you for tuning in with me as I wing it today. I'm winging it. I'm going to finish the other one up and get this stuff put away. I've got Stampin' Bingo tonight. Catalog debut Stampin' Bingo. If you're in the Chicago area, you've got questions about Stampin' Up events, or you want to join me for something, you can email marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. All right, you guys, I got a couple of things I got to do and get cleaned up here for bingo tonight. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining me.